There's multiple reasons why things aren't heading in the right direction for Michigan, but at the end of the day, it comes down to these two things. I know sometimes it may appear, seem, and come off like I overhype certain situations, and I get that, but this isn't overhyping anything whatsoever. Things are getting worse for Michigan football. And I gotta be upfront and honest with all of you. I already thought it was heading in the wrong direction, but then more stuff started happening. The funny part about this is if you're a Michigan fan or college football fan, you would think things are heading in the right direction because number one, you beat Ohio State in back-to-back seasons and you haven't done that in forever. Two, you got back-to-back Big Ten championships. And last but not least, you made it to the playoff not once, but twice, back-to-back. Did you win those playoff games? No, but still take nothing away from making the playoff. That's tremendous. You're one of the best 4 teams in the country. That's why all of this is weird, at least to me, because you would think a team that just made the playoff in back-to-back seasons, they wouldn't be heading in the wrong direction. Yet Michigan is. It's concerning, it really is, and I know it's gotten bad because I've had Michigan fans reach out to me and say, man, Matt, I can't believe you're not even talking about this. That's when I at least started to realize, okay, we gotta talk about it. It's not gonna be a jam-packed video with a bunch of different topics, but we got one main topic to go over. We're not doing no intro, no corny BS, none of that. If you like college football, it's simple. Consider joining the best college football community on YouTube. If you don't want to subscribe, yeah, that's cool as well. All right, blah, 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 shut the crap up. Now, without further ado, let's get into it. First things first, let's go over the basic information. We already made a video talking about this. The rumors have been circling that Jim Harbaugh is expected to leave Michigan and go to the NFL. I believe we made that video about 2 or 3 days ago. I kept it short and sweet, and I told you guys, these rumors happen every single year with Jim Harbaugh. They happen with Nick Saban early on in his career at Alabama. And I don't buy it. Even with all these verified and legit sources talking about it on ESPN 2 or 3 days ago, I didn't buy it. I just had a hard time believing that Jim Harbaugh is going to leave Michigan. For all the obvious reasons, like I said in that video, I don't want to repeat myself. He loves Michigan. He even donated some of his salary to the staff so they could stay there and so on, so on. Y'all know how it goes. However, that was 2 or 3 days ago, and we all know this in the sports world, a lot can change in 2 or 3 days. I think you know exactly where I'm about to go with this. Like I said, a lot has changed. The obvious one, everybody knew that Jim Harbaugh and the Broncos, they were at least going to have a conversation, but now it's being stated that the Panthers have interviewed Jim Harbaugh. It's looking like a 2-team race, the Panthers and the Broncos. I'll talk about this a little later, but Jim Harbaugh going to the Panthers, I think that is a terrible fit. I don't care if you're playing at the college level or the NFL level, you've got to have a quarterback. And when I say a quarterback, I'm not just talking about a quarterback in itself. I'm talking about a good one at that, especially at the NFL level. Maybe in college you can get away with having a Cade McNamara like he did, but at the NFL, you got to have a good one. And the Panthers, as where we stand, have no quarterback. To go along with that, the offensive line there, not that good. The Panthers in general are not a good football team. We know this. So I don't really like that scenario, but if he's going to go to any team in the NFL, the one I like and the one that makes a ton of sense is the Denver Broncos. Why is that? It's simple. They already got Russell Wilson. I know the Broncos had a terrible year this year, and Russell Wilson arguably had the worst year of his career, but I think with the right coach, they can turn things around just like that. The Broncos have the talent. They have the pieces. The Carolina Panthers don't. I'm not going to talk too much more about where he should go, where I think he's going to go, because all that doesn't matter. The point is, he's entertaining these offers. Whether he goes to the NFL or not, I don't know, but it is clear, it's obvious, it's been stated, he's at least interviewing. With that being said, this leads me into my next topic perfectly, and most people don't even think about this, but Jim Harbaugh entertaining these NFL jobs, it hurts recruiting. Why does it hurt recruiting, you may ask? Because now these high school kids, when they're having to make a decision, well, they don't even know if Jim Harbaugh is going to be there next year or the year after. And college athletes don't want to get recruited by Jim Harbaugh and then a year later they're playing for Joe Schmo. Because when Joe Schmo comes in there and takes over the team, he might not even like that said player. He might not even play him. It hurts the recruiting. End of story. Speaking of recruiting, we got to address this, and I've had so many Michigan fans send this to me on Twitter and Instagram. Michigan had a terrible recruiting class this year. In the class of 2023, they finished at 17th overall. That's terrible for their standards. Look at what Michigan has done, not just this year, but the year before. They made it to the playoffs. They beat Ohio State, and they're not even in the top 15 in recruiting? That is bad, and I mean really, really, really bad. Michigan is one of the most iconic brands at the college football level, and when you're getting out-recruited by South Carolina and Penn State, it's a problem. Much respect to South Carolina, much respect to Penn State, but they should not be out recruiting Michigan, with Michigan having great seasons back to back. And it's not just this year, it's going to happen next year and the year after. Why is this going to happen though? Why is Michigan not recruiting so well? I think it's multiple different reasons, but there's two main ones. Reason number one is Michigan does not have the NIL funding like all these other schools have. They've made it clear they're not going to dish out money left and right, and you're seeing the effects. I've told you guys since day one when the NIL started, money runs the world. If I'm a 4 or 5-star recruit in high school and Ohio State's offering me $400,000 and Michigan's offering me $0, which school do you think I'm going to pick? Even if Michigan beat Ohio State back-to-back, I'm taking $400K. They're both great schools to play at. So if Ohio State and Michigan's 1A and 1B, the only difference in the schools is one team's going to pay me, the other team isn't. That's your reason number one. And your reason number two is, like I just talked about, Jim Harbaugh. There's been rumors circling about him going to the NFL for years now. And now I'm starting to believe these aren't just rumors. 2 or 3 days ago when I made the video and said I don't think he's going to the NFL, I was about 85% sure he's going to stay at Michigan. Now, I'm only about 45% sure. I am leaning towards 55% Harbaugh's going to go to the NFL, 45% he stays at the college level. And I'll explain why. Check out this tweet. I asked a current NFL executive about Jim Harbaugh, who told me, quote unquote, Jim wants to be an NFL coach again. Here's the quote if you're interested. Jim wants to be an NFL coach again. He wants the juice of being in the league and fighting for Super Bowls. He loves Michigan with every ounce of his being, but he wants back in pro football. That quote didn't change my entire belief on what's going to happen, but it changed a lot, and I'll explain why. Jim Harbaugh, like many people out there at his level, he's the ultimate competitor. One thing that people like Jim Harbaugh, Nick Saban, your greatest coaches and greatest players of all time have, they love to grind. As corny as nowadays it is to say trust the process, that's a real thing. Nick Saban in Alabama, he preaches how he loves the process. He's not just saying it, he means it. And me and you can relate to this on a smaller level. Whatever you're striving for in this life, let's say you want to go to the gym and get jacked. You grind in the gym for 2 years straight, and next thing you know, you look in the mirror and you got that dream body. Getting the dream body is great, but the reward isn't as great as the process. The best part of chasing the goal isn't the goal itself, it's the chase, it's the process. I'll give you a great example. A couple years ago, one of my main goals was to hit 100K on YouTube. I wanted it so bad. I was grinding every single day making YouTube videos, and when I hit 100K, I was happy, but I wasn't as happy as I thought I was going to be, because I realized it wasn't hitting 100K that made me happy, and it wasn't hitting 100K that was awesome. It was the grind to get to it. I say that to say this. I think Jim Harbaugh is somewhat bored of the college level. I think he's bored of it because at this point, he's pretty much mastered it. At the college level, it's not a week in and week out grind, especially in the Big Ten. Think about it. At max, at Michigan, you're going to have at max 3 tough games a year. Outside of that, you're guaranteed 9 wins. It's just as simple as that. These teams don't have the talent to compete with Michigan. And plus, you got to throw in there those 2 or 3 cupcake FCS games that every team plays. I think he's tired of it because there is no grind. He's mastered it. He's already reached the potential at Michigan. He's made the playoff. There's not too much more left in store for him. And I know some people are going to try to say, well, Matt, what do you mean there's nothing left in store? He hasn't won a championship. And yeah, I get it, but my point is he's pretty much dominated the Big Ten the past 2 years. Whereas in the NFL, every single week it's a grind. Anybody can beat anybody in the NFL. Even the worst team in the league can beat the best team. And that's what I personally am starting to think Jim Harbaugh misses. Let me ask you a question. Do you think Jim Harbaugh really got excited before the Hawaii game this year? I don't think so. Or who else did they play? Didn't they play Colorado State? I mean, give me a break. There's nothing to get excited for in these games. There is no preparation or grind because everyone knows this. They're going to mop the floor with them. I think Jim Harbaugh is like me and you. He's ready for a new challenge. Kind of like a dad on a Saturday morning when they randomly decide they want to build a new deck outside. Do you really need a new deck? Probably not, but it's going to give you something to do. You love the process of it. And even if he doesn't leave, here's the problem that will continue to linger. These kids at the high school level, they don't know if he's going to stay there the next 2 or 3 years, and that's affecting recruiting. In conclusion, there's multiple reasons why things aren't heading in the right direction for Michigan, but at the end of the day, it comes down to these 2 things. Number 1, you're not taking part in the NIL, and number 2, the Jim Harbaugh saga. I'm just calling it how I see it. I am curious though. Let me know your thoughts down below. But